6 of Putin's red lines that have already been crossed.
If some kind of strike systems appear on the territory of Ukraine, the flight time to Moscow will be 7–10 minutes. Creating such threats would be red lines for us.
Vladimir Putin issued this threat in November 2021. The full-scale invasion was still 3 months away. There were no strike systems in Ukraine when Russia attacked, but things have changed since then. Putin described every new escalation as a red line. He implied that Russia would use nukes if it were crossed. Was he bluffing? Let's see. Red line number 1. Western weapons in Ukraine. Putin didn't expect much resistance from the Ukrainians. When his troops failed to take Kiev, he changed tactics. The Russian army stepped up its assaults on civilian targets. Clearly, they counted on their superior firepower. Ukraine's military capabilities were meager. As early as February 28, Putin said,
"Whoever tries to hinder us should know that Russia's response will be immediate and lead you to consequences you have never seen in your history."
He also claimed Russia's nuclear forces had been put on high alert. The West continued supplying weapons to Ukraine. The Ukrainians continued resisting. Putin did nothing. Red line number 2. Attacks on Crimea. After months of fighting, Ukraine received HIMARS from the US. The systems Ukraine operates have limited range, but Russian authorities immediately became worried. On July 17, 2022, Dmitry Medvedev warned against attacking Crimea.
If anything happens there, you will see a doomsday, very swift and very hard, and there will be no hiding from it.
On October 8, the Kerch Bridge between Russia and Crimea was attacked. No doomsday occurred. However, on February 4, 2023, Medvedev reiterated,
"If Ukraine attacks Crimea, there will be retaliation. All the Kiev-controlled Ukraine will burn." The president of Russia has been explicit in this regard. "We do not set any limits for ourselves. We can use any weapons under our nuclear deterrence doctrine."
On March 20th, Ukraine delivered a strike against a railway hub in Jankoy, Crimea. It was not immediately engulfed in flames. Red line number 3. Western tanks in Ukraine. Tanks were a separate cause for concern in Russia. On October 9, 2022, Russian official Alexei Polishchuk said,
"As for the red lines, we've already drawn them clearly. First and foremost, it's supplying Kiev with long-range or more powerful weapons.
If it happened, he said, Russia would
recognize the United States as a full-fledged participant of the conflict."
Then Zelensky visited Washington. Ukraine has received Western MBDs. Russia didn't bomb the US. In January 2023, Dmitry Polyansky, Russia's UN envoy, said,
"Some red lines have already been crossed, but maybe not the reddest ones. If you are dealing with a nuclear power, you should have all the options in mind of our possible response."
Then the UK gave Kiev long-range missiles. No response from Russia came. Red line number 4. Attacks on Russian territory. In June 2022, Medvedev spoke about Western weapons in Ukraine.
"If these weapons are used against Russian territories, our armed forces will have no choice but to attack decision-making centers. But the ultimate decision-making centers are not in Kiev. It's a threat we'll have to take into account."
Then Russia annexed 4 Ukrainian regions. They were officially added to Russian maps. Ukraine counterattacked, liberating Kherson and the Kharkiv region. Attacks against occupied territories continued. Ukraine also attacked targets in actual Russia. There were strikes against Russian air bases and fuel depots. Russia did nothing. Red line number 5. Attacks against the Kremlin. In early May 2023, 2 drones attacked the Kremlin. Moscow called it an assassination attempt against Putin. Medvedev immediately jumped in with,
"This terrorist act, committed by Kiev authorities on orders from the US and approved by the EU, will lead to escalation. This is exactly what Washington and many morons in Brussels want. Moscow will respond whenever and however it deems necessary."
It hasn't. Red line number 6. F-16 deliveries. This is the latest chapter in the Red Line saga. Ukraine has been asking for Western jets for over a year. Lately, the US has indicated it may finally get them. Russia's response was predictable. Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grishko said.
Movement is underway on the so-called escalation ladder. It involves enormous risks for the West. This will be taken into account in all our plans, and we have all the necessary means to achieve the set goals.
Oh well, we'll just have to live with it.